soon as I have the research for one chapter done, I will write that chapter, even if I don't know where it's going to go in the book, and I have to rewrite the end of the chapter and the beginning even, just so that I have some material written. Because my research may span a couple of years, so if I waited a couple of years to do it, just the pressure that builds up for having nothing in the pile of pages that you will need to have to be done with a book. It would drive me crazy, although I know authors who do that. Well, sometimes it's very simple. Bonk was some situation where I saw a sentence in an article in Film Quarterly about these colposcopic films of Masters and Johnson. I remember thinking, does that mean what I think it means? Like cervix, colposcopy? Does that mean they're actually making films inside a woman when she's sexually responding? And in fact, that's what that meant. And I thought, okay, next book, sex research. Because it occurred to me, this is a wonderfully awkward topic to do scientific research on, and so it's perfectly right up my alley. So that one was easy. It was just, hey, that's a great idea, and sold the book. Early on, I was very enamored, well, I still am. Bill Bryson is an author who just does a wonderful job of reporting, finding really interesting material, whether it's historical or scientific or travel related, but making the narrative very engaging. He's got a lovely sense of humor, but it's never trying too hard. He just really had a perfect balance, I thought, so that was very inspirational. Susan Orlean was also, she was my favorite New Yorker writer years ago. She still writes now, but not as much. And so her work was inspirational, just in the reporting and her ability to see that something could be interesting that you would not necessarily assume would be interesting. She wrote a long piece for the New Yorker on just a corner grocery store in Brooklyn, or maybe the Bronx, I don't remember, but and it was so fascinating. She just sees that ordinary day-to-day life is as interesting as something that seems headline worthy. And so that was inspiring. It doesn't come that naturally. I tend to go back over and over passages, and especially the opening of a chapter. I wish I could say it came naturally. I know that there are authors who speak eloquently and in straight lines, and I'm not one of those. I mean, you could just record those people, transcribe it, and there's your book. And I'm not like that at all. And partly because the subject matter, I've got a lot of sort of factual material that has to kind of be shoved into the narrative framework, and sometimes it doesn't go easily, and I've got to find a way to make it feel not lurching. So it's not an easy process. It's fun. I like the challenge of it, but it doesn't necessarily flow. That's a tough one because I'm not really, people call me a science writer, but I don't really feel quite comfortable with that title. People call me humorist. Again, I don't feel like I'm funny enough for that. I'm not scientific enough for that. So I think you need to get multiple copies and shelve them all over the library/bookstore. God, maybe just someone like Henry VIII or some just as foreign as possible. I'd like to just talk about the outfit and dinner. I mean, the amount of food that people ate. I'm not I don't enjoy political conversations, so I wouldn't necessarily I wouldn't want to talk politics with Henry, and I don't want to talk about his relationships. But just to talk about day-to-day life and do you have a jester, and what's that? Does he go over the material with you beforehand? And how do you hire a jester? And, codpiece, what's going on there? I hear stories about what those are for, and I never really knew what the real answer is. So, really almost anybody from a period in time so far back that everything seems exotic.